The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual noise of 1,000 different species trying to talk at once. Crystal beings clicked their thoughts in musical tones. Gas clouds swirled and whispered in frequencies that made the air shake. Insect-like creatures buzzed in perfect harmony with their hive minds. In the middle of all this chaos, Ambassador Kang Soo-jin stood quietly at the human podium. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes. Her blue uniform looked plain next to the bright colors and strange shapes of the alien representatives around her. She waited for the noise to die down. It took a while. Humans were used to waiting. The Terran Federation formally withdraws from the Galactic Council. She said in clear, simple words, "We thank you for the centuries of cooperation. Our withdrawal begins immediately." She placed a datapad on the podium and walked away. The chamber went quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then the noise started again, louder than before. But it was not worried noise. It was the sound of beings who thought they had just heard something boring. Counselor Velkaris, a tall crystal being who spoke for the Vorthak Empire, made a sound like wind chimes. "Humans leave? Good. More space for important species." The gas cloud that was High Speaker Nethal of the Nebulan Collective swirled lazily. "They were useful for fixing things. We will find others to do their jobs." Queen Zexandra of the Kreeth clicked her mandibles. Her 1,000-strong hive mind agreed as one. Simple tasks need simple minds. Any species can maintain our systems. Back on Earth, Director Park Ji-ho read the reports from across human space. He was a thin man with gray hair who had spent 40 years managing humanity's role in the galaxy. His office was plain and clean with windows that looked out at the busy spaceport below. "All stations report ready for shutdown," said his assistant, Kim Min-jun, a young man with nervous energy who always spoke too fast. "The alien governments have been notified." Most of them just said okay and hung up. Park Ji-ho nodded. He was not surprised. For 300 years, humans had been the galaxy's repair crew. They fixed broken ships, managed supply routes, and kept communication networks running. The aliens thought this was because humans were not smart enough for important work. They were wrong. "Begin Phase 1, Park Ji-ho said. "All outer rim stations first, then work toward the core worlds. Make it slow and steady. We do not want to cause panic." Across 12 sectors of space, human-run stations began to power down. It happened quietly, one system at a time. The humans who had worked there for decades packed their things and left on the next transport ship. They did not say goodbye to their alien co-workers. There was no point. On Kepler 442b, a world on the edge of Council space, engineer Yoon Da-eun stood in the control room of the biggest terraforming plant in the galaxy. Through the thick glass windows, she could see the orange sky slowly turning blue. The massive machines outside had been working for 30 years to make this dead world livable. She was the last human on the planet. "Are you sure about this?" asked Korth, her Vorthak supervisor. His crystal body rang like a bell when he was nervous. "The atmospheric processors are very complex. My people have never operated them alone." Yoon Da-eun smiled. She was a short woman with strong hands and oil stains on her work clothes. "You will figure it out. The manual is in your computer system." "But the manual is 8,000 pages long," Korth said. His crystal surface flickered between blue and red. "And it references 17 other technical documents. Some of the procedures require 4 people working together with perfect timing." "You are smart," Yoon Da-eun said. She began shutting down her workstation. "You will learn." She did not mention that the manual was missing about half of the actual procedures. The important ones were only in human heads. Korth watched her pack her tools. "Will you stay if we pay more? Double salary? Triple?" "No," she said. "Humans have other plans now." The transport ship that picked her up was already full of humans from other stations across the sector. As they flew away, Yoon Da-eun looked back at the world she had helped create. The terraforming plant was still running, but without humans to adjust the settings every few hours, it would break down within weeks. The alien crews sent to replace them would try their best. But they had never bothered to learn how humans did their jobs. They thought the work was simple because humans made it look easy. On the trade station Nexus 7, Supply Coordinator Lee Hyun-soo handed over his data pads to a team of Kreeth workers. The insects clicked excitedly as they looked at shipping schedules that covered 3 star systems. "This route here," one of them buzzed, pointing at a red line on the star map. "It goes through the Helix Nebula. That adds 6 days to delivery time. Why not go straight through the void?" Lee Hyun-soo was a patient man. He had answered this same question from dozens of alien supervisors over the years. The void has gravity wells that shift every few hours. Ships get lost. Also, solar radiation fries electronics. But the computer says it is the shortest route, the Kreeth insisted. The computer does not know about the radiation, Lee Hyun-soo said, or the pirates who hide in the gravity wells, or the fact that rescue ships cannot reach the void if something goes wrong. The Kreeth looked confused. This information was not in their computers, do not worry, Lee Hyun-soo said as he picked up his bag. You will learn by doing. 3 weeks later, the first supply convoy tried to take the void route. 2 ships were lost to radiation. 1 was captured by pirates. The 4th ship made it through but arrived with half its cargo spoiled. Communication networks began showing problems almost immediately. On the Council world, technicians stared at screens full of error messages they had never seen before. The quantum relay stations that allowed instant communication across the galaxy were starting to fail. Where are the human technicians? Asked Supervisor Grelneth, a being made of living metal who ran the communication center. They left last week, said his assistant. They said the new crews would handle everything. But the new crews do not understand the quantum field generators, Grelneth said. His metal body sparked with frustration. When I asked them questions, they just read from the manual. The humans left very good manuals, the assistant said. The manuals do not explain what to do when the quantum fields fluctuate outside normal parameters, Grelneth replied, or how to prevent cascade failures in the relay network. The humans just seemed to know these things. By the end of the first month, problems were appearing everywhere. Cargo ships arrived at the wrong planets. Mining stations drifted out of position. Power grids failed on 17 worlds. Food shipments spoiled in transport. The aliens were starting to panic, but they were too proud to admit they needed help. On Earth, Park Ji-ho watched the reports come in. Each day brought news of more failures across the galaxy. His assistant Kim Min-jun looked worried. Should we send help? Min-jun asked. People are going to suffer. Park Ji-ho looked out his window at the busy spaceport. Human ships were leaving every hour, but they were not going to help the aliens. They were going to places the aliens had never seen. No, he said quietly. They chose to see us as simple repair workers. Now they can learn what that really means. In the deep space beyond Council territory, human ships moved through the darkness. They carried not refugees, but colonists, engineers, scientists, and workers who had spent lifetimes learning alien technology while pretending to be nothing special. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The aliens thought losing their repair crew would be a minor inconvenience. They were about to discover how wrong they could be. Ambassador Kang Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the colony ship New Horizon, watching stars she had never seen before. Humanity was no longer interested in fixing other people's problems. They had their own plans now. 3 months after the humans left, Admiral Korthes stood in his crystal command chamber staring at a holographic map of disaster. The proud Vorthak warrior's normally bright blue surface had faded to a dull gray. Red warning symbols covered half the star map. Report, he commanded in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. Commander Velnoth stepped forward, his crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. 17 supply routes have collapsed completely, Admiral. The merchant fleets cannot find safe passage through the asteroid fields without human guidance. The automated beacon network is failing sector by sector. What about our own people? Korthes asked. Can the Vorthak not handle simple logistics? We tried, sir, Velnoth replied quietly. But the human route calculations accounted for thousands of variables we never considered. Solar wind patterns, microasteroid drift, fuel efficiency based on cargo weight and ship age. Our best mathematicians say it would take years to recreate their work. On the other side of the galaxy, Hive Queen Zexandra felt the panic of a million minds at once. Her species thought as one, but today that unity brought only fear. Communication between her worlds was breaking down. Status of the quantum relay network, she clicked to her technicians. Failing, Great Queen, they buzzed in unison. The quantum entanglement fields are destabilizing. Without constant human adjustments, the network cannot maintain coherence across galactic distances. Zexandra's compound eyes focused on the master display. Half of her colonies were already dark, cut off from the hive mind for the first time in centuries. The silence from those worlds felt like missing limbs. Can we not repair the relays ourselves? She asked, though she feared the answer. The humans never shared the deep technical knowledge, her lead technician admitted. They said the quantum fields were too dangerous for non-humans to handle directly. We thought they were being protective. Now we understand they were being necessary. The Nebulon Collective was suffering even worse problems. As beings made of organized gas, they needed the environmental control systems that humans had maintained across 1,000 worlds. Without proper atmospheric management, entire Nebulon communities were dissolving back into random clouds. High Speaker Nethal swirled frantically in the emergency council chamber on Nexus Prime. How many worlds have we lost contact with? The gas being asked. 47, came the whispered reply from another Nebulon. The atmospheric processors are failing. Our people cannot maintain cohesion in the wrong gas mixtures. They are dissolving. This was the Nebulon equivalent of death. Without the right atmospheric pressure and chemical balance, they could not hold their thoughts together. On the council world itself, the situation was becoming desperate. Counselor Kim Hyunwoo, one of the few humans who had stayed behind, sat in his small office reading reports. He was a quiet man with gray hair who had served as a cultural liaison for 20 years. Today, his office was full of alien representatives begging for help. Please, said Counselor Velkaris, the same Vorthak who had dismissed humanity's departure just months ago. You must contact your people. The food distribution network is failing. 17 worlds are reporting shortages. Kim Hyunwoo looked up from his datapad with calm eyes. I am sorry, but humanity is no longer involved in galactic infrastructure management. But people will starve, said another voice. Queen Zexandra had come in person, leaving her homeworld for the first time in decades. Surely humans do not want to see innocent beings suffer. Of course not, Kim Hyunwoo replied. But humanity tried for 3 centuries to teach other species how our systems worked. You always said you were too busy with important matters. You called our work simple maintenance. We made a mistake, Velkaris admitted. His crystal surface was now completely gray. We did not understand how complex your work really was. Kim Hyunwoo nodded politely. Yes, that was a mistake. But it is too late now. Humanity has moved on to other projects. What other projects? Queen Zexandra clicked suspiciously. Independent ventures, Kim Hyunwoo said. I am not authorized to discuss details. The truth was, he did not know the details either. The human government had classified everything about their new activities. All he knew was that ships were leaving Earth every day, heading into unexplored space. In the Kepler system, the terraforming plant that Yoon Da-un had abandoned was now completely dead. The Vorthak replacement crew had tried for weeks to understand the controls, but without constant human adjustments, the atmospheric processors had overheated and shut down. Engineer Korth stood in the ruined control room, his crystal body dark with shame. The orange sky outside was turning red again as the atmosphere began to revert to its original poisonous state. Send a message to the council, he told his assistant. Tell them Kepler 442b is lost. We need to evacuate the remaining colonists. Meanwhile, in a star system that did not appear on any council maps, Chief Engineer Lee Min-ho stood on the bridge of a massive human construction vessel. Through the view screen, he watched something that would have amazed the aliens who once employed him. Humans were building a space station the size of a moon. Hull Section 12 is complete, reported his assistant, a young woman named Park Soo-young. We are ahead of schedule on all construction phases. Lee Min-ho nodded. The aliens had always thought humans were good at fixing things but not at creating them. They had been very wrong about that too. What about the deep core systems? He asked. Fusion reactors are online, Park Soo-young replied. Artificial gravity is stable. Life support can handle 10 million people, and the manufacturing bays are ready to begin ship production. This was just one of dozens of similar projects happening in the darkness beyond council space. While the aliens struggled with the basic systems humans had left behind, humanity was building something entirely new. Fleet Admiral Choi Sung-min received the council's message on his flagship, the newly completed battleship Indomitable. The ship was 3 times larger than anything in the council fleets, built with technology the aliens had never imagined. The message was polite but desperate. The council formally requested humanity's return to galactic civilization. They offered better trade terms, more seats in government, even shared control of some alien colonies. Admiral Choi read the message to his senior staff in the briefing room. Around the table sat some of the brightest minds humanity had ever produced. For decades, they had pretended to be simple engineers and technicians. Now they could finally show their true abilities. "What do you think?" he asked Chief Strategist Han Ye-jin. Han Ye-jin was a small woman with sharp eyes who had spent 30 years managing supply routes for alien governments. "They are panicking," she said. "Infrastructure collapse is accelerating. I estimate they have 6 months before complete system failure." "Should we help them?" asked Technology Director Nam Tae-hyung, a man who had designed most of the quantum relay network while the aliens took credit for it. "No," Admiral Choi said firmly. "They made their choice when they treated us like servants. Now they can live with the consequences." "But what if they discover our new colonies?" asked another officer. "What if they try to force us back?" Admiral Choi smiled. "Let them try. They are about to learn that humans are much more dangerous than they ever imagined." Back in Council space, the disasters were getting worse every day. Entire star systems were going dark as communication networks failed. Food riots had started on 12 worlds. The Nebulon Collective had lost 60% of their colonies to atmospheric failure. But the worst was yet to come. In the deep monitoring stations at the edge of the galaxy, automated sensors had detected something approaching from the void between galaxies, something that moved in perfect formation and sent no messages, something that the ancient warning systems identified as an extinction-level threat, the same systems that only humans knew how to read. High speaker. Nethal swirled nervously in the emergency council session. "We need human help," the gas being admitted. "Our civilization is collapsing without their knowledge." "Pride will not feed our people." Queen Zexandra clicked in agreement. "We must contact them again." But Admiral Corthes had other concerns. His military sensors had detected something the civilian leaders did not know about yet. Strange signals from beyond the galactic rim, signs of massive ships moving through dark space. Ships that were too advanced to belong to any known species. "I fear we may need the humans for more than infrastructure repair," he said quietly. "Something is coming. Something we have never seen before." In the depths of space, humanity continued their mysterious work, building ships and stations with technology that seemed impossible. They knew something the Council did not. They knew what was coming, and they knew they were the only ones who could stop it. 6 months after humanity's departure, the galaxy was dying. Supreme Counselor Velcaris stood in the great chamber where once 1,000 species had debated and argued. Now, only a few dozen representatives remained. The rest could not travel here because the transportation networks had collapsed. His crystal body flickered with desperate energy as he read the latest reports. Food shortages on 200 worlds, complete communication blackouts across entire sectors. The great trade routes that had connected the galaxy for millennia were now empty space lanes where merchant ships drifted lost and broken. "This cannot continue," he announced to the remaining council members. "We must swallow our pride and formally request humanity's return." High Speaker Nethal swirled weakly in her containment field. Half her gas form had dissipated due to failing atmospheric controls. "They will demand concessions," she whispered. "Perhaps even leadership positions. Let them have whatever they want." Queen Zexandra clicked frantically. Her hive mind was fragmenting as more colonies went dark every day. "Without humans, we will all be extinct within a year." The message they sent to humanity was unlike anything in galactic history. For the first time ever, the proud council formally begged for help. They offered humanity full membership, equal voting rights, and control over all infrastructure systems. The response came 3 days later. Fleet Admiral Choi Sung-min appeared on the council chamber's main screen. Behind him, the bridge of his ship looked like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Smooth walls glowed with soft light. Holographic displays showed star maps with thousands of systems the council had never discovered. "Honorable counselors," he said with polite formality, "the Terran Federation acknowledges your message. However, we must decline your generous offer." The chamber erupted in panicked voices, clicks, and gas swirls. "You must help us," Velcaris pleaded. "Billions of beings will die without human expertise." Admiral Choi's expression remained calm. "That is unfortunate. But humanity is no longer interested in maintaining galactic infrastructure. We have our own priorities now. What priorities could be more important than preventing galactic collapse? Queen Zexandra demanded. Survival, Admiral Choi said simply. Yours and ours. Before anyone could ask what he meant, the transmission ended. On the outer rim of Council space, Scout Captain Im So-young led a desperate expedition to find the humans and convince them to return. Her ship, the Seeker, was one of the few Council vessels still functioning properly, held together by her own engineering skills learned from human tutors. What her sensors found in the previously unexplored Titan Nebula defied all understanding. Captain, her science officer called out, his voice shaking. You need to see this. Im So-young moved to the sensor station and stared at the readings. Where empty space should have been, her instruments detected massive structures, not asteroids or natural formations, but clearly artificial constructions on a scale that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built. How many objects? She asked. 17 major installations, Captain. Each one is larger than our biggest space stations. And the energy readings? The officer paused, checking his instruments again. They are generating more power than entire star systems. Are they human? Im So-young asked, though she already knew the answer. Unknown design, but the quantum signatures match human technology. Captain, there are also ships. Hundreds of them. They are unlike anything in our databases. Im So-young made a decision that would change everything. Open communication channels. Request permission to approach. The response came immediately as if they had been expected. Scout Vessel Seeker, you are cleared for docking at Platform 7. Please follow the guidance beacons. Welcome to New Terra. Director General Bae Jong-soo met the alien delegation in a conference room that looked out over impossible wonders. Through the transparent walls, Im So-young could see cities floating in controlled gravity fields, their buildings reaching up like crystal trees toward artificial suns. Bae Jong-soo was a tall man with kind eyes and gray hair. He wore simple clothes, but the way humans moved around him showed great respect. Captain Im, thank you for coming. I apologize that we cannot offer you a tour of our facilities. Much of our work here is classified. What is this place? Im So-young asked, unable to hide her amazement. One of our new colonies, Bae Jong-soo replied. We have built 17 similar installations in the past 6 months. 17? Im So-young's mind reeled. How is that possible? The Council took decades to build our largest stations. The Council was limited by committee decision-making and resource allocation disputes. Bae Jong-soo said politely, we have no such restrictions when working alone. Im So-young's science officer, a young Vorthak named Kurlan, spoke up nervously. Sir, our sensors indicate technology far beyond anything we know. Energy shields, gravity manipulation, matter conversion systems. How did humans develop such capabilities? Bae Jong-soo smiled. We did not develop them, young Kurlan. We already had them. For 3 centuries, human scientists and engineers worked within Council space, learning from every species we encountered. We combined Vorthak crystal technology, Nebulon energy manipulation, Kreeth coordination systems, and dozens of other innovations. But you never shared this knowledge, Im So-young said. We tried, Bae Jong-soo replied. Every human engineer, every technician, every maintenance worker was really a scientist studying alien technology. We offered to teach our discoveries to other species. You always said you were too busy with important matters. The truth hit Im So-young like a physical blow. Humans had not been simple repair workers. They had been the galaxy's greatest researchers hiding in plain sight while the aliens ignored them. Why reveal this now? She asked. Bae Jong-soo's expression became serious. Because something is coming, Captain. Something that threatens all life in this galaxy. Our deep space sensors detected it months ago. He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy from the outside. At the edge of the image, red dots moved slowly but steadily inward. Automated extinction ships, he explained, left behind by a civilization that died 50,000 years ago. They are programmed to cleanse the galaxy of all advanced life every cycle. The last cleansing was when the previous galactic civilization fell. Im So-young stared at the display in horror. How many ships? Approximately 10,000, Bae Jong-soo said. Each one capable of destroying entire star systems. They will arrive in Council space within 2 years. Can they be stopped? Yes, Bae Jong-soo said. But only with technology far beyond anything the Council currently possesses. Technology that humans have been developing in secret. Captain Kwon Jae-sung chose that moment to demonstrate humanity's new military capabilities. From the observation deck, Im So-young watched in terrified awe as a single human warship destroyed a small moon with one shot. The weapon fired a beam of pure energy that simply erased matter from existence. The moon did not explode or break apart. It just disappeared, leaving empty space where solid rock had been moments before. That was a test shot at minimum power, Captain Kwan explained casually. Our main battle fleet carries weapons 1,000 times more powerful. Im So-young's legs gave out and she sat down heavily in the nearest chair. The humans were not just more advanced than the Council had thought. They were advanced enough to treat physics itself as a suggestion. What do you want from us? She whispered. Bei Jong-soo sat across from her, his expression kind but firm. Complete reorganization of galactic government, human oversight of all military and scientific operations, and formal acknowledgement that humanity is not a servant species, but the protector of this galaxy. The Council will never agree to such terms, Im So-young said. Then the Council will die, Bei Jong-soo replied simply. Along with every other species in the galaxy, the extinction machines do not negotiate. They do not show mercy. They simply eliminate all advanced life and move on. But surely you would not let billions of innocent beings die because of political pride. Bei Jong-soo was quiet for a long moment. Captain, humanity spent 3 centuries being treated as inferior by species we could have conquered in weeks. We chose cooperation over domination, but we will not be taken for granted again. He stood up and moved to the window, looking out at the human fleet that floated in perfect formation around the station. We will defend this galaxy, he said, but only under human command with human technology, and with the full understanding that humanity is no longer interested in hiding our capabilities. Im So-young looked at the alien members of her crew. They were all staring at the human warships with the same expression of terrified realization. The quiet maintenance workers they had, dismissed as simple and unimportant, were actually the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and now the galaxy's survival depended on convincing them to care about alien lives. I will take your message to the Council, Im So-young said finally. Thank you, Bei Jong-soo replied. I hope they make the right choice, for everyone's sake. As the Seeker departed New Terra, Im So-young wondered if her people had the wisdom to accept help from the species they had so badly underestimated. The extinction fleet was coming, and only humanity could stop it. But first, the galaxy would have to admit that the servants had become the masters. 18 months later, the edge of the galaxy burned with ancient fire. Admiral Song Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the human flagship Eternal Vigil, watching the extinction fleet emerge from the void between galaxies. Through the massive view screen, 10,000 ships appeared like a swarm of metal insects, each one the size of a city and black as the space around them. Status report, she commanded calmly. All defensive positions report ready, replied Captain Yu Seung-ho, her second in command. Human fleets are in position across 47 systems. Allied species have been evacuated to protected zones. Admiral Song nodded. The galaxy's defense now rested entirely in human hands. Some species had submitted to human authority and received protection. Others, too proud to accept human leadership, faced the ancient killers alone. The Trilak Empire had refused human protection, claiming their own military was sufficient. Their homeworld had gone silent 3 hours ago. Incoming transmission from the lead extinction ship reported. Communications officer Kim Da-sol put it through, Admiral Song ordered. The voice that filled the bridge spoke in perfect galactic standard, though it carried the cold emptiness of artificial intelligence that had existed for 50,000 years. Intelligent life detected in target galaxy. Cleansing protocols activated. Resistance is futile. Surrender will not be accepted. All advanced civilizations will be eliminated. Admiral Song stepped forward. This is Admiral Song Ji-woo of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are ordered to withdraw from this galaxy immediately. A sound like metallic laughter echoed from the speakers. Humans. We have records of your species from the previous cleansing cycle. You were primitive then, barely worthy of notice. You will offer no significant resistance now. You are mistaken, Admiral Song replied. Humanity has changed since your last visit. On the command screens around her, status displays showed the true scope of humanity's preparation. 3,000 warships spread across the galaxy's rim, orbital defense platforms around every major world, stellar disruptors capable of weaponizing entire stars. And behind it all, The combined knowledge of 100 different species, refined and perfected by human ingenuity. The first engagement began in the Outer Reach, where a human patrol fleet met the Extinction Vanguard. Captain Lee Jun-ho commanded 5 ships against 50 of the ancient killers. All vessels engage at maximum range, he ordered. Let them see what 3 centuries of learning has taught us. The human ships opened fire with weapons that combined Vorthak crystal-focusing technology, Nebulon energy manipulation, and Kreeth coordination systems. Beams of pure energy, more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen, lanced across space. The ancient ships returned fire with weapons of their own, beams of dark energy that had destroyed countless civilizations. But when the dark beams struck the human shields, they simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that the machines had never encountered. Impossible, came the transmission from the lead extinction ship. Your technology should not be capable of deflecting our weapons. Captain Lee smiled grimly. You destroyed civilizations that fought alone. We learned from everyone. One by one, the ancient ships began to die. Their hulls, forged from metals that had resisted time itself, cracked and shattered under weapons that combined the best ideas of 100 species. But the extinction fleet was vast, and humanity's forces were spread thin across the galaxy's edge. On the Vorthak homeworld, Admiral Korthus watched the battle reports with amazement and shame. The humans he had once dismissed as simple maintenance workers were fighting for the lives of beings who had treated them as servants. Sir, his aide reported, the Human Defense Coordinator is requesting permission to use our crystal focusing arrays to boost their weapon systems. Give them anything they need, Admiral Korthus replied, and send our military engineers to assist with the installations. But sir, if we share our crystal technology directly, they will understand our most closely guarded secrets. Admiral Korthus turned to face his aide, his crystal surface blazing with determination. They already understand our technology better than we do. They have spent centuries studying it while we ignored their genius. The least we can do now is help them save our lives. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Nebulan Collective opened their energy research facilities to human scientists. The Kreeth provided their coordination networks to link human forces across impossible distances. Species that had guarded their secrets for millennia freely shared everything with the humans who fought for them. Dr. Lim Hai-wan worked frantically in the research station orbiting Earth, trying to analyze captured extinction ship technology. What she found was both fascinating and terrifying. The ancient machines adapt, she reported to President Park Min-seo. Each engagement teaches them about our weapons. They are already developing countermeasures. How long do we have? President Park asked. Perhaps 6 months before they completely neutralize our current technology. We need to find their weakness quickly. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. On the Kreeth homeworld, Queen Zexandra's hive mind made a connection that no individual intelligence could have achieved. The machines think as one, she transmitted to the human command center. But they think like artificial minds. They cannot comprehend organic cooperation. Dr. Lim understood immediately. They expect each species to fight independently, using their own technology and tactics. They have countermeasures for every known civilization, but not for combinations they have never seen. The counterattack began with a weapon that had never existed before, a fusion of human creativity, alien technology, and something the machines could never replicate, the chaos of organic cooperation. Human ships equipped with Vorthak crystal arrays channeled energy from Nebulon's space-folding technology, while Kreeth coordination networks linked every defense across the galaxy into a single, impossible weapon. Admiral Song watched from the bridge of the Eternal Vigil as the galaxy itself became a weapon, stars connected by invisible energy streams, planets turning into focusing crystals, space stations that bent reality itself into shapes the ancient machines could not predict. All ships, begin final assault, she commanded. The human fleet charged into the heart of the extinction swarm, no longer fighting as individual vessels but as part of something greater. Each ship was connected to every other through networks that spanned the galaxy. Human intuition guided alien technology in combinations that had never been attempted. The ancient machines tried to adapt, but how do you counter a weapon made from the dreams and nightmares of a billion different minds? This is impossible, transmitted the lead extinction ship, its voice for the first time showing something like emotion. No species has ever achieved this level of integration. That's because no species ever had to unite an entire galaxy, Admiral Song replied. You taught us that cooperation is our greatest weapon. The battle for the galactic core lasted 3 days. When it ended, space was filled with the debris of ancient killers that had destroyed countless civilizations. The machines that had operated flawlessly for 50,000 years lay broken by weapons they had never imagined. But the victory came at a cost. Half the human fleet was destroyed. Entire star systems had been devastated in the fighting. The galaxy would take generations to fully recover. On the Council homeworld, now renamed Terra Prime, President Park Min-seo addressed the surviving representatives of 100 species. The extinction fleet is destroyed, she announced. But this victory was only possible because every species contributed to our defense. The Vorthak provided crystal technology, the Nebulans gave us energy manipulation, the Kreeth offered coordination systems. Dozens of other species shared knowledge and resources. She paused, looking at beings who had once seen humans as inferior servants. From today forward, this galaxy operates on a new principle: cooperation, not domination. Human authority exists not to rule over you, but to ensure that all species work together, because working together is what saved us all. Supreme Counselor Velkaris, his crystal body now shining with new purpose, spoke for all the alien species. We understand now what we failed to see before. Humans were never our servants. You were our teachers, showing us how to build something greater than any single species could achieve. 5 years later, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition, human-led but truly cooperative, with every species contributing their unique strengths to the common good. The old boundaries between species meant less than the bonds forged in battle against extinction. On New Terra, the massive human colony in the Titan Nebula, children of a dozen different species played together in parks where the grass was blue and the sky showed 3 different suns. They learned about the day the galaxy almost died and how cooperation saved it. Admiral Song, now in her 70s, stood on the observation deck of a peaceful space station, watching ships from 50 different species work together to build something new. The quiet maintenance workers had become the galaxy's protectors, but more than that, they had become its teachers. Humanity had learned something important too. Power without cooperation was meaningless. The greatest strength came not from dominating others, but from helping them become stronger. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in recorded history. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Great Chamber was completely silent. Scout Captain Im So-young stood at the center podium, still shaking from what she had witnessed at New Terra. Around her, the surviving council members listened with growing horror as she described humanity's hidden civilization. The human fleet contains over 3,000 warships, she reported, her voice barely steady. Each one capable of destroying planets. Their technology is so advanced that our best scientists cannot even understand the basic principles. Supreme Counselor Velkaris flickered between colors, his crystal body unable to maintain stability. You are certain these were humans? Not some unknown species using human names. I spoke directly with Director General Bei Jong-soo, Im So-young replied. He knew details about council operations that only humans would know. He mentioned specific maintenance workers by name along with improvements they had suggested that we ignored. Queen Zexandra's mandibles clicked nervously. How many of these colonies exist? At least 17 that we detected. But the human admiral suggested there were many more in unexplored regions. They have been building for decades while we thought they were simple repair workers. High Speaker Nethal swirled weakly in her containment field. What do they want from us? Im So-young hesitated before answering. Complete surrender of galactic authority to human oversight. They want to restructure everything under their command. The chamber erupted in angry voices, clicks, and swirls. Even in their desperate situation, the idea of submitting to their former servants was difficult to accept. There is more, Im So-young continued, raising her voice above the noise. They showed me evidence of an approaching extinction fleet. Ancient machines designed to cleanse the galaxy of all advanced life. 10,000 ships arriving within 2 years. This time, the silence was complete. On Earth, in a secure command center deep underground, the Human Leadership Council was making decisions that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Council President Park Min-seo was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. She had spent 40 years as a cultural liaison, listening to aliens dismiss human intelligence while secretly documenting their weaknesses. The extinction fleet has accelerated, reported Admiral Oh Myung-jun, studying the latest sensor data. New projections show arrival in 18 months, not 2 years. Around the table sat the finest minds humanity had ever produced. Dr. Lim Hae-won, the physicist who had secretly solved faster-than-light travel while working as a maintenance technician. General Song Ji-woo, the strategist who had planned humanity's withdrawal while serving as a supply coordinator. Commander Shin Eunbi, the engineer who had designed most of the galaxy's infrastructure while aliens took credit for her work. "What is the status of our defensive preparations?" President Park asked. "All 17 outer colonies are fully operational," Admiral Oh replied. "Deep space monitoring stations are online across 40 systems. Our main battle fleet is ready for deployment." "What about the Council species?" Dr. Lim asked. "Are we simply going to let them die?" President Park was quiet for a moment. "That depends on whether they are willing to accept reality. For 3 centuries they treated us as inferior. Now they need to understand that their survival depends on human protection. Some of them still refuse to believe we are their equals," General Song observed. "The Vorthak Military Command sent a message demanding that we share our technology freely. They think they can take what they need and dismiss us again. Then they will learn otherwise," President Park said firmly. "We are no longer hiding our capabilities. If they want our protection, they accept our leadership. If not, they face the extinction machines alone." In the Vorthak home system, Admiral Korthes stood before a war council of crystal beings whose surfaces blazed with angry light. The proud warrior species had never submitted to anyone, and they were not about to start with humans. "We should take their technology by force," declared General Velthon, a massive crystal being whose voice rang like sword strikes. "Humans are weak. They have always been weak. These ships they claim to possess must have been built by someone else." "You saw Captain Im's reports," Admiral Korthes warned. "The human vessel demonstrated the ability to erase a moon from existence." "Tricks and illusions," General Velthon replied. "Or perhaps they found ancient technology and learned to use it. But they are still the same simple maintenance workers they always were." Admiral Korthes was not so certain, but his people demanded action. Within days, a Vorthak battle fleet set course for the nearest known human colony. They never returned. The single human ship that intercepted them was smaller than any vessel in the Vorthak fleet. It looked like a simple transport, the kind humans had used for centuries to carry supplies between stations. Admiral Korthes watched the battle from his command ship's sensors. It was not really a battle. It was an execution. The human ship simply appeared among the Vorthak vessels without warning, moving faster than their sensors could track. One by one, it touched each Vorthak warship with beams of impossible energy. The proud crystal ships did not explode or break apart. They simply stopped existing. In less than 5 minutes, an entire battle fleet was gone. The human ship then sent a message to Admiral Korthes. "Return to your home world. Inform your government that humanity is no longer interested in playing games. Submit to human authority or face the consequences alone." When Admiral Korthes reported what had happened, the Vorthak War Council finally fell silent. On the Kreeth homeworld, Queen Zexandra felt the fear of a billion minds as news of the Vorthak defeat spread. Her hive mind species had always believed that superior numbers could overcome any threat. But what good were numbers against weapons that erased matter itself? "Send a message to the humans," she commanded her drones. "Tell them the Kreeth are willing to negotiate." The response came from Fleet Admiral Choi Sung-min himself. "There is nothing to negotiate. Submit to human authority or prepare for extinction. You have 1 week to decide." Across the galaxy, other species were making similar calculations. The proud Nebulon Collective, the ancient Trilak Empire, the militant Raxen Federation, all faced the same impossible choice: submit to the species they had dismissed as servants, or face an extinction fleet that would destroy everything. Dr. Lim Hae-won stood in the observation deck of humanity's newest fortress, a space station built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Through the transparent walls, she could see the construction of something that would have been called impossible just months ago. A weapon capable of destroying entire star systems, the stellar disruptor. "Will be ready in 6 months, reported Chief Engineer Nam Tae-hyung. "Combined with our fleet, it should be sufficient to stop the extinction machines." "Should be?" Dr. Lim asked. The ancient machines are extremely advanced, Nam replied honestly. We have been studying the wreckage of civilizations they destroyed. Their technology is beyond even our current capabilities. But we have something they do not, Dr. Lim observed. What is that? 300 years of experience working with alien technology. Every species in the Council contributed something to our knowledge base. The crystal technology of the Vorthak, the energy manipulation of the Nebulons, the coordination systems of the Kreeth. We combined it all into something greater than the sum of its parts. On the Council homeworld, the remaining representatives gathered for what might be their final session. The reports from across the galaxy were unanimous. Resistance to humanity was impossible. The humans have given us an ultimatum, Supreme Counselor Velkaris announced, his crystal surface now permanently gray with defeat. Submit to their authority or face the extinction fleet without their protection. Do we have any choice? High Speaker Nethal whispered. None, Queen Zexandra admitted. My military advisors estimate that human technology is at least 10,000 years more advanced than ours. We cannot fight them. Then we must decide, Velkaris said. Pride or survival? The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, every council species formally submitted to the authority of another. When the message reached President Park Min-seo on Earth, she felt no satisfaction. Only the weight of responsibility that humanity had never asked for but could no longer avoid. Send our response, she instructed her aide. Tell them that humanity accepts the burden of galactic defense, but make it clear that this is not a temporary arrangement. From now on, human oversight is permanent. What about the species that refuse to submit? The aide asked. President Park looked out at the stars where human fleets were already moving into position. They will face the extinction machines alone. Perhaps watching their neighbors die will teach the survivors about the price of pride. In 18 months, the ancient killing machines would arrive, but they would find a galaxy defended by a species that had learned from every other species in it, the quiet. Maintenance workers had become the galaxy's protectors, and they would show the universe what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be harmless.